Hey, it's Patti Scharf, CPA and co-founder of Catching Clouds, a leader in e-commerce accounting. Today we're going to talk about clearing accounts. Clearing accounts are really important for e-commerce businesses, and I'm going to show you why in this video. Okay, let's get started. Before I talk about clearing accounts, I want to talk about one of the funkiest problems that I see when people are just starting out using Xero or QuickBooks Online, and they are trying to get their systems to work with all the other e-commerce systems that are out there. So I'm going to show you an example of a problem and then explain how clearing accounts actually fix that problem. So let's say you sell on Shopify, and when you're setting up and you find a way to connect your Shopify account to Xero, and you're pulling in transaction by transaction, and it asks you, where does this money land? And you say, well, it lands in my bank account. So you set up this connection and it pulls in order by order and dumps that information into your bank account. Then you turn around and you say, oh, great, I can now get all of the transactions from my bank. And you set up a bank feed for the same bank, pulling in all the transactions from there. And what you'll end up seeing is something like this, where you get a deposit for, let's say, a total of $30,000 for this one day. And it shows up in your bank on May 7th. But you also have all of these orders that came in from Shopify that total this $30,443. So what you have just done was duplicated the sales in your accounting system. And you've created this jumbled mess because when you look at your bank statement and you're trying to reconcile it, you can easily reconcile against this $30,000 that showed up from your bank feed, but you don't easily reconcile against everything else. And in fact, if you were going to do a bank reconciliation, you would see it shows what the balance in Xero is $51,000, what's actually in your bank account is $32,000. And that's a big problem. You need to know how much money is actually in your bank. And you'll notice all of these are not reconciled because they didn't get matched up to the $30,000 deposit that's actually in your bank. So how do you fix this? You fix it with a clearing account. So here's what you do. Instead of setting up the bank feed going into your bank account from your Shopify account, and honestly, this can be true for any kind of third-party tool. So if you're paying bills this way, if you are receiving invoice payments this way, anything where you have detailed transaction in another system, you'll want to set it up this way. So instead of setting up the feed going from Shopify into your primary bank account, you skip that step. You're going to only set up the bank feed that's coming from your bank. So you'll see this total deposit of $30,000, and it's sitting here waiting to be reconciled. Okay. Now, you will also set up a fake bank account called a clearing account. In this case, we're going to use an AR system. Okay, so I've called it AR System Clearing Account. And what I've done is set up essentially a sink that's pulling each of the individual transactions into this fake bank account. And you'll see that the ending balance is that $30,443.03. Okay? Now, we're going to go back to this bank account, and we're going to reconcile this transaction. And we are going to consider this as a transfer from that fake bank account into this bank account. Okay? So we're going to pick AR System Clearing Account. Okay? So when you actually look at the reconciliation report for this main bank account, the only stuff that's outstanding are things that are truly outstanding, and the balances are more in alignment to what they're supposed to be in reality. Okay? And if you go and you look at the AR system, there's this transaction that came over from the bank, or actually it's going to the bank account. And when you reconcile that, you just click OK. It'll be $0. Now, one thing I want to point out is if this is truly a fake bank account, this may not show up as imported. It just kind of did it in the example that I'm doing. You may have to reconcile this by hand. So you'll do a manual reconciliation by by selecting it and choosing Mark as Reconciled. If you do not see this button here, go up to the top, click Enable Mark as Reconciled, and then the button will show up and you can reconcile it. And you'll see that this system is 0. Now a clearing account by definition is just to clear money through it. So it should always be 0 at the end of the day. If it's not 0, there needs to be a really good reason why it's not 0. Maybe they've had more, say, like the deposit doesn't actually hit until the 7th. Maybe there are sales on the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. So you need to kind of keep an eye on that. But this will keep things clean and pretty, and it'll keep you from double counting your sales in your accounting system. So now you know why you need a clearing account. One of the most notorious needs for a clearing account is for using your PayPal account. I would set up your PayPal account just like a bank, and we're going to talk more about that in an upcoming video. So I hope you like this video. If you did, please like, share, comment. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and I'll catch you later.